Reading with your kids.
Hey, so great to see you. Come on in. Hi, my name is Jedley, and this is the Reading with Your Kids podcast. We are coming to you from the beautiful neighborhood of Reedville in the southwest corner of Boston, Massachusetts. We are so happy that you're part of our beautiful Reading with Your Kids family. Please be sure to subscribe to the show on the iHeart Radio app, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Ghana, and wherever you find your podcast. Our guest today is Lindsay Barry. She's returning to the show to tell us all about the backpack. Hey, before our guest comes in, we gave a sneak preview of the Solve It for Kids podcast here on Reading with Your Kids, and it was so popular, it's like spun off. It spun off into its own thing. And my buddy, our dean of all things STEM and STEAM, Jennifer Swanson, is here to tell us a little bit about what's going on with this great new podcast. Hey, Jennifer, what's up?
Hi, Jed. Oh, I am so excited about our new podcast. We've been getting some great reviews. Everybody wants to find out what's going on and meet and listen to some of our scientists and engineers. We have done how do you map an underwater forest?
Yeah.
We have done how do you cut a person in half safely, of course.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
We have talked about improving your connection with water by going on a water walk, and we have watched Vanessa Brantley Newton create illustrations that come to life.
I took a water walk with my amazing niece. We had such a great time. I didn't fall into the water, but it was really, really fun. And I love the fact that all of our guests are giving our wonderful listeners challenges, really fun challenges that they can do together as a family. And that's so cool. Hey, tell everybody where they can find Solve It for Kids, because it's not on the Reading with Your Kids podcast. It's its own thing.
So please, if you want to keep listening, go over to iTunes and Apple Podcasts and subscribe. And you can download all 4 of the first episodes that we have, plus listen to all the new ones we have coming out. You can also find on Stitcher Radio and, of course, through our website, solveitforkids.com.
Jennifer, thanks so much. Thanks for letting me be part of this awesome podcast.
Well, we make a great STEM team, don't you think?
Absolutely. All right, join us over at solveitforkids.com. Joining us right now from the great Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, she is returning to the show to tell us about her brand new picture book called The Backpack. Please welcome back to the show, Lindsay Barry. Lindsay, how are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me back.
So happy to have you back. Lindsay was one of the first guests on the show, not the first couple of months, but certainly in the first 6 months or so. And now it's 3 years later. We have over 800 episodes, and we're so happy that you're back. And I'm excited to hear about the backpack. Tell us all about it.
So the backpack is a message of kindness. And I wrote it because my older son was going into kindergarten, and one of my fellow moms said, well, make sure you get him the best backpack, and so I did what I thought was the best one. And then I kind of thought, well, what kind of message is that sending? It doesn't really matter what backpack he has. I really want him to be kind and, treat others with kindness. That's where the idea for the story came from. So the backpack is all about kindness, treating others how we want to be treated. And I say, it doesn't matter what we look like or what our backpacks look like. What matters is how we treat others and what's inside of us.
I love that message. What I don't love is that there really is a need for stories that teach that message, because
I know
it's something that should be instinctual. And I think in a lot of ways it is. We understand that this is the way that we should act, but there are so many other forces out there. Force might be the right word, but there's so many other influences out there that are teaching our kids the opposite.
Correct. Yeah. And, in my book too, I have in the back of it, some, how we talk to kids about kindness, because it's like, oh yeah, just be kind. But what does that look like?
Mm-hmm.
So I have some concrete examples in the back of the book, kind of like a note to parents and caregivers and teachers. So, it's holding the door open for someone, smiling at them, saying please and thank you. And, I like how I'm trying to get these messages out through my books, because I also know how important reading is, as you do, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And having that special time to bond with children, and then, having time to talk about what they've read, it builds not only, the thing that we're trying to get across is to be kind, but also their speech and their learning and their reading comprehension. So I'm really proud of this book, if you couldn't tell. I'm really happy with how it turned out and the illustrations. And a lot of parents and teachers who've read it have said, thank you so much. This is something that we've needed. And it's also great, for kind of the back to school time, even though that's going to look a lot different this year. The message is still clear. We need to treat others with kindness.
Well, I think we need to treat others with kindness, especially because of what's going on.
Right.
I think it's really, this would be a great way to talk to our kids about the fact that, as we've said here on the show, we're all in the same storm, but we're not all in the same boat. We're all experiencing this pandemic in very, very different ways. And some of us are we're all in this great hurricane out on the ocean, but some of us are in a big cruise liner, and we're kind of getting through it okay. And other folks are in this little dinghy that's getting tossed from side to side.
Right.
And I think helping our kids understand that will go a long way towards making the world a better place.
Yep, I agree. Yep. And the one of the characters in the book, she is kind of on that cruise ship, as you say. She's in a comfortable place, and then there's a new kid in school who might be, in that smaller boat perhaps, and his backpack is kind of old and worn and torn, and she kind of wants to talk to him, but she's not sure because what will her friends say. So, I try to make it true to life, where you might want to reach out to someone, but then you kind of maybe worry what your friends might think, which is, a real emotion that we have all experienced, especially in a school setting. So, I use that and to show like, hey, you know what? Reach out, say hi, invite them to sit down. Be a kind person. And I also talk about in the back of the book, the ripple effect of kindness. Even just smiling at someone could really brighten their day, inviting them to play on the playground, just things like that. And it doesn't have to be huge, just can be, small things that it really makes a big difference.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that your book talks about inclusion. I think that's something that a lot of us don't realize. Yeah, we can do the polite thing and say hello and hold the door open and say yes and please and thank you. But when we see those kids that are alone, or even worse, when we don't acknowledge those kids that are alone, and when our kids don't acknowledge that's really painful for those kids that are left out. And what a beautiful thing it is that you're encouraging kids to see those kids that are by themselves and to invite them in.
Exactly. Yeah. And then another thing in the back of the book, I have 5 easy ways to talk to kids about kindness, because it sounds so easy, right? But sometimes it can feel hard. And you know how kids ask 1,000 questions. And so I have just some in there to kind of help the parents and caregivers and teachers lead the discussion. An example is, can you name one kind thing you did today? Can you name more? So it just starts to really, what did I do today? Was I kind today? Did I include someone? Did I help someone out? So, and then maybe the next day they really think about that and, do something else that could be very kind for somebody.
Yeah. I used to love talking to my kids and asking them that question, but then also asking them, hey, did anybody do something kind to you today? And that was a real eye-opener sometimes, especially if my son was having a bad day and coming home and this happened, that happened. Okay, that really stinks. Did anybody do anything nice for you? And then when you sit back down and think about that, it's like, oh yeah, well, maybe the day wasn't so horrible.
Yeah. It's just important to talk about it. And then honestly, it becomes just part of their lives, and the kids are leading the way into the future. So I really do think that if we pretty much bombard them with these messages of kindness and, like you said, inclusion, helping each other out, no matter what. Like, I think it would be so helpful, for our future.
Yeah. I don't know if this was intentional. A lot of times, a lot of the great things that we do in life, we're not aware of them. But I think the fact that you have these questions and kind of discussion guides for parents, letting parents who pick up this book to share with their kids understand that, hey, this is something you should be reading with your kids. This is something you should be talking to your kids about. I think as the parents are sitting down and talking about them, being kind with their kids, they're going to start reflecting back on how they are acting. And they're going to realize, wow, if I really want my kids to be kind, they need to see me being kind.
Right.
So I think again, I don't know if you intended it, but it was a really good sneaky way to get in there and remind parents that they got to be on their toes too.
That's great. I love that. I love that you picked up on that because, I consider myself a kind person, but in this day and age too, it's very stressful right now. Everyone's kind of on edge, and you have to really remind yourself, we are all in this together. Let me be kind. Basically, let me not, be upset that someone cut me off in the driveway or whatever. And it is a great reminder because we need to model the behavior that we want our kids to show to us. So yeah, I'm glad that you picked up on that.
Yeah. Now, one of the things too, I just want to touch on and remind folks, the last time you were here, you were talking to us about your first book, Journey to Constellation Station. Can you remind everybody about that book?
Sure. So that book is about taking a train ride into outer space and visiting all the different constellations from one part, which is one station, basically, Journey to Constellation Station. So I wrote that when my kids were smaller and obsessed with trains in outer space. I love that book. It's like dear to my heart. It's my first one. So it's a special place. And then that one too, we also added in some extra, in the back, extra things to talk to the kids about. So we have how it's connected to STEM, the science, technology, engineering, and math. We talk about the constellations that we see. I share some fun facts about trains in outer space. Also some ideas of crafts to do with the kids during the day, and then also things to do at night, since it's mostly a nighttime storybook. So I'm super proud and excited about that too, that it's coming out again. It's revamped. So yeah, I'm excited about that, and to have both of them come out at the same time is kind of wild. So it's really exciting.
It must be exciting. And you're talking about trains and space, and I know we don't have trains that are going up to space yet. But the fact that we're talking now about, it's something that's probably going to happen in the not too distant future of typical human beings going up and back out of space. There's going to be this thing called space tourism. I remember being at home watching, Neil Armstrong take the first step on the moon, and remembering how exciting that was for me. And now that, now I'm almost 100 years old, and wow, there are people going to be taking their vacations in space in the not too distant future. So cool.
It is so cool. And also too, my kids were just out here, like you said, we're in Pennsylvania right now, and we are looking at Jupiter. That's, being able to be seen. And I'm just like, this is so amazing. I remember being out here when I was little, looking up at all the stars and the constellations. Here I am with my kids and my parents, with our grandchildren. And it's just, I talk about it too in the back of the book. It's just, space is so amazing and wonderful. And we are all there. We can all look up and be under the same sky. So, I'm just really excited for people to find this book again. Share it with their kids, and also for teachers too. It's a great foray into, space themes and space lessons. So yeah, I'm very excited about it coming out again.
Now, you mentioned you and your family, you're in Pennsylvania right now. Typically, you live in a city area, metropolitan area.
Right.
What's it like being able to go outside at night and actually see stars? I mean, here in Boston, I look up and it's a star. No, it's an airplane with a light that's moving. How exciting is that for your kids?
It is so amazing. I mean, go outside almost every night. You know, they're a little bit older. I just let them stay up. It's summer, you know, it is what it is. But it's amazing to see their faces look up, and you can really see the Milky Way right above us, and they are just awed, just like I was and I am, and my parents. And it's just a really cool experience, you know, and to say to them like this, you know, and again, like we're all under the same sky. Like we don't all see the same things, of course, because we live in different parts, but this is one thing we can share with everyone. So I love that idea. I love that.
Yeah. It sounds like this is, you know, the idea of kindness and unity and helping your kids understand that we are all part of one human race and we have an obligation to each other. It's a beautiful thing. It's something that I try to share with my kids. Why is it so important for you to pass that on to your kids?
Yeah, I mean, it's, especially right now, you know, it's very overwhelming. And I think that one of the most important things I can teach my kids is to be kind. You know, it just factors into everyday life, every day how they're going to treat others and how others will treat them. And if there's one thing that I can just say, you know, it's be kind. It's just so important to me, like you said. I just think it can be, you know, whether it's in maybe a job interview you didn't get and you want to, you know, write back to that person and say, why didn't I get this job? You know, be kind, have grace, and, you know, move on. And so I just feel like it permeates every single minute, every single day, basically. And it's pretty easy to do. So I just really, you know, want them to think about that all the time.
Yeah. One of the things that you mentioned early on that I loved is just sharing your smile with somebody. And, you know, one of the heroes in my life, Mother Teresa, she had a beautiful quote that your smile is a gift. And helping our kids understand that our smile is a gift and really can change somebody's day and the way that they're experiencing life at that moment is, I think, is such a great lesson to share with kids.
Yeah, it really is. One thing too about that, you know, while we're wearing masks and, you know, that kind of thing,
yes.
It's hard to see facial expressions now, but even when you smile, you know, your eyes crinkle, you know when someone's smiling, you can tell. And I love too, we were, you know, going out on a lot of walks, being outside, and even though we were, you know, distant from everyone was again in it together and, you know, raising a hand and hello, saying through the mask like, hi. Before, maybe we would be, you know, buried in our phones or ignoring someone else. So, however, this is all, you know, scary and kind of overwhelming. It is those little things like a smile or a hand wave or just a quick, you know, head nod that, again, is showing kindness. A quick little thing you can do, you know, to make a gesture, but it could really change somebody's day.
You know, Lindsay, I was mentioning to you earlier that I was teaching magic at a camp, and we all had masks on. There was this one little girl, and I commented every time I would show something, and I would look over to her, and she had this big mask on that was covering most of her face because she was so tiny, but her eyes just lit up.
Yeah.
And I would always comment, go, dude, I know you have such a huge smile. It is coming through your eyes, and so maybe that's what we have to do, adults and kids, is just, you know, when we share those smiles, remember to share, you know, give them an over-the-top smile so that it radiates out beyond our masks.
Yeah, I love that. It's something to consider, something to think about.
Yeah. Now, I know I don't mean to do this. I'm sorry. I apologize in advance. I know you have 2 books, and they're coming out at the same time. Journey of the Constellation Station is being republished and revamped, and the backpack is just coming out. And so you get all this on your plate. But I wanted to do you have a new project that you're working on?
I do. And I know. So the first project, I actually have 2, if you can believe that. So the first project, I can't really say anything about it. It's going to be coming out around the same time, September. So it's super secret, but it's going to be amazing. And I am so excited. And you will be one of the first people I tell when it's ready to come out. It is a book. So that'll be, and then I have another one, mostly an idea, but I've talked to my publisher, and again, I'm kind of incorporating both of the books, Journey to Constellation Station and the Backpack. Mm-hmm. So I'll just tease that out there that, in a little bit, that'll be coming out too. So I'm kind of incorporating both. I have a lot on my plate.
That's awesome. That is really exciting. Well, I know everybody's going to want to know how they can connect with you so they can be the first to know about this super secret project that's going to be coming out soon. So where can folks connect with you online?
Yep, they can connect with me on my website, which is www.lbarrybooks.com. I'm on Twitter at lbarrybooks and Instagram at lbarrybooks. I have a Facebook page, lbarrybooks. And then my publisher's website, which has a link where you can purchase the books pretty much anywhere books are sold, which is sfwp.com.
All right. And also, Lindsay was mentioning online, you can buy the books wherever. I just want to make a pitch out there for the indie bookshops.
Yes.
The folks at Amazon, they're really, really busy sending out toilet paper and hand wipes and all that other kind of stuff. And they'll tell you, dude, we don't need that extra business. But those little indie bookshops, they need the business. And the chances are, if you go into the stores, you're probably not going to see the backpack on the shelf because there's so many books out there. But check it out. If you request the book, go up to the bookseller and say, look, I heard about this great book on Reading with Your Kids. Lindsay Barry, she wrote it. It's called The Backpack. Can you get it for me? They'll be able to get it. And if one or two of your neighbors go and they request the book, then that bookseller is going to go, hey, I need to put this book on the bookshelf. So it would be a great boost to that indie bookstore. It would be a great boost to Lindsay and a great boost for your family library, too.
Yes, thank you for saying that. Absolutely.
Yeah. Hey, we've had a great time talking to the author of the brand new picture book, The Backpack, Lindsay C. Barry. Lindsay, thanks so much for being back on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. This was so great.
Please be sure to join us for the next episode of the Reading with Your Kids podcast. Our guests will be Gloria and Pete Van Dong. It's a fascinating conversation with a fascinating couple. You don't want to miss it. Hey, if you are the author of a fantastic children's book, you are probably also very frustrated. That's right. All the traditional methods of promotion are just not available to you right now. School visits, library visits, and even when schools and libraries reopen, they ain't happening. School assemblies, visits to classrooms, that just isn't happening. Book signings, I hear some are happening, but they're few and far between. We have something that can help. It's called the Reading with Your Kids Certified Great Read Program. If our panel believes that your book is worthy of 4 or 5 out of 5 stars, it becomes a certified great read. And with that status comes a whole lot of really powerful tools that can help your book stand out from the crowd of books that are published every single month. To learn more, all you need to do is to go to our website, readingwithyourkids.com. Click on the Author Services button that you'll see at the top of the page. It tells you all about the program. Right now, I need to tell you all about the people who made today's show so wonderful. Of course, we want to thank our guest, Lindsay C. Barry. Be sure to check out Backpack. I also want to thank my incredible team, starting with my producer, Fatima Khan. I want to thank my beautiful wife for all of the support that she brings to my life, all the love that she brings to my life. I want to thank Augie the doggy for having my back here in the studio, but most of all, I want to thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today, and thank you so much for taking the time to make the world a better place by reading with your kids. I'll be looking for you in the next edition of the Reading with Your Kids podcast.